Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dee Reinhardt. We are doing our Illinois goodness gracious, Iebs Illinois Employer Business System. And we are going to have our discussion today about creating custom lists. And our guest speaker today is the programmer extraordinaire, Chris Shifley, who developed this entire system. So I'm going to turn this over to Chris, let him share his screen, show you first of all how to get to the lists and then how to create a custom list. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to use them for your purposes.
Thank you, Dee. Yes, hi, I'm Chris Shifley. I'm with the Illinois workNet team. I've been with the team since 2013, and I've done like 99% of Iebs. So if it works, it's me. If it's not, it's not me.
It's somebody else.
Somebody else. So today we're going to talk about company lists. But first, I want to talk about the company section and what we're looking at first, and then we'll go to that feature of it's called outreach lists on the page, but we can refer to it as a company list. So the company section on Iebs is a data repository of over 600,000 companies in the state of Illinois that we get from our partner Dun & Bradstreet. This is proprietary information. It's for internal use only. If you've signed into Iebs, you've had to walk through an agreement and acknowledge, like, yes, I won't use this for personal use or anything. This is just for workforce use. So this database of 600,000 companies, we get it on a quarterly basis. They give us a lot of information. I'm just going to pull open a company, not even looking here. It'll give us the address, the CEO, area population. It'll give us metrics on, is it a small business, minority owned, public company, nonprofit, company details, really, really valuable information that you can use for research or to connect maybe a dislocated worker to a company, or just like, I'm looking at an area of the state of Illinois. I don't know what's there, but I need to know what's there. So it's a terrific repository of information. And I'll give you a brief overview of the search page here. So if we come up to the top companies, you'll see on the left-hand side, we have all the filters that we can search for on the left-hand side. So we can type in a company name. We can start to filter by a NAICS industry. If we have that 6-digit NAICS code, we can even start to type there. It'll start to pre-fill and help you kind of find those numbers. And working our way down, we have business indicators. So, hey, we want to just search for small business or Fortune 1000. Material change indicator. We want to know how well or how not so well a company is doing, if they're growing or if they're decreasing in scale. Stress score, the lower the number, the better it is. The higher we get, we're getting closer to the bankruptcy. Some location information, is a single location, the headquarters, the branch. We can even filter on the number of employees. I will say that this number isn't 100% accurate, but the larger the company, this seems to be the better the accuracy of that. Area of population, we can search, say we're looking for companies in areas with larger populations or smaller populations. And this is all information that Dun & Bradstreet is providing to us. We can even search for, say we're looking for a female CEO or a male CEO, sales volume. And then I've got some geo kind of filters over here that says, I really need to be hyper specific of where I'm looking at. I want to look into a city or a county or LWIA or even EDR. And I'll show you some of those tools as we're kind of building lists here in a minute. And we also have place and radius. Again, I will show you that. And then on the right-hand side, we have a list of companies, and we kind of have our business name and address, primary NAICS, and some high-level details to go, yeah, I want to look more into this company, or I don't. So if we come up top and move to the right of that list view, there's a map view, so we can get a mass view of what we're looking at. Now, this is only limited to like 50 points at a time, just because if we throw a ton of points out here on the map, Your computer will take a while to load it and your screen will kind of slow down. But we can put layers on here. And so right now we have the Alwea layer, and I just turned on show labels. We can switch over to EDR, and you see that it's got the labels there. And then census track is a new one that's coming out, hopefully in a little bit, but this is on our test environment. It's not live on production yet either. We can also, as we're doing searching, we can also change our icon. So we have two different types of icons for our companies here. A green leaf represents a growth opportunity, and a kind of handshake, this yellow handshake, represents a retention opportunity. So it's a great way of just taking all that data and being easily able to focus on, hey, I'm looking for companies that are really doing well, or companies that really need some help. And then we can also flip it over to financial stress score. And I got a legend up here. And so the green little dollar sign means low stress, yellow high stress, and then a red is severe stress. And then we also have the discontinue or open bankruptcy. So this tool is really to make it easy to kind of sort through that repository of 600,000 companies. It's as we're typing or changing our parameters here on the left, it is updating our search results, and you'll see like I'm already filtering down, and just based on what I selected, I'm down to 362 companies. So that's just a brief overview of the company section. And I'm going to reset my filters here. So what we're talking about today is that this is all great and everything, but like sometimes I need to change my search parameters, and I want to look in this area, and then I want to look in this other area. Or I need to collect all these companies into a common list. So we have a thing called lists here. I have two lists I've already created, and I'm going to show you in a minute on how to create that. And then I'm going to walk you through two different kind of scenarios that we could use the list in our practice. So on the left here, we can filter to lists that I've already created. I've created one called donuts. And on this list, I just put donut shops on here. And I could download that and take that offline if I wanted to. But I'm going to step through my first example here. And so I'm going to navigate back to layoffs. And I bookmarked one earlier that I kind of wanted to use as an example. So we're going to look at this one, this Nichols Aluminum LLCC. So it's a worn trade event. And you'll notice here, it'll come up in just a second. So under the organization details, you'll see that it has a DUNS number and that we've already connected it to our company's database. So if we click that, it's going to open a new tab. And it's going to bring up the company details, so the Dun & Bradstreet information. And we can kind of get some high-level information on here and go, all right, we had a layoff event. I want to help these dislocated workers find jobs, and it appears that they're in manufacturing, so specifically aluminum sheet. And we can kind of use this information to build our list. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to go back to the company search page. And actually, I'm going to go back and leave that open. And then I'll do a new tab. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our layoff information. Since I'm not 100% familiar, we are talking about Nichols. It is in Lake County, which is in Alwea 1. So the first thing we can do is we can come over here, and we're just going to search Lake County. And so it's filtered our results. We got like 39,000, still a huge number. And I want to search down to manufacturing. We're just going to start very broad, and then we can kind of zero in. And I'll show you how we're going to create our list. So manufacturing is still kind of broad. Let's see. So let's increase our minimum number of employees to 25. And then we're just going to pick one. I'm not even, I know what Abbott Laboratories is, but we'll start there. So I've already created a list, but I'm going to create a new list just to walk through the process. Okay, so once I save that, now you'll see that I've got another list here. And I had clicked, and I need to step back through that again. So on to the right of our company name, we have a button here with a little arrow down, and you can see add and then manage lists. Add will show the last list that you just created, so you could easily just add companies to that list. And then manage list will show you some more details and say, hey, maybe I've got two lists going on here and I want to be able to do multiple at the same time. So I've added it to my manufacturing list and my manufacturing test list. And then close that. And I'm going to add a couple more. Add that, so I'm going to add it that way. And you'll notice on here on the right hand side, I'm showing that it is adding to the background. Okay, so I just added more than a handful of companies, and I want to see that list. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to reset my filter options just so it shows everything. And I'm going to go to lists, and I'm going to go to that manufacturing test list that I was just showing you. And these are the 5 companies that I had added to it. The great thing is that this is a filter. So say I had a list of 500 companies, I could still come in here and add more filters to this. Like I absolutely need it to be in Lake County, or I need it to be in this certain city. So you could filter out those results out of your whole list. And let's say we wanted to remove or add to a different list. Hitting that drop down button, we can say remove it. We can come in here and we can do the same thing. Is click and that will uncheck it. We can put it on other lists, and you see it's putting that little check mark. Let's see what else. Oh, another way you can interact with lists is we're going to go to the company details. So I've clicked on one of the companies that is on the list, and you'll see this tab called Outreach, and you see that same interface over here. You'll see lists right here, and then there's projects. Projects is a future feature that will hopefully have more collaboration there. We've worked on it, and it's been kind of on the back burner for now. But lists are just kind of like an individual user's company list. Projects will be more of a, I want to collaborate and create lists together and then have other Iebs users interact with the list with me and do documentation and other kinds of things. But we're not ready for that today. And so again, you can come into Outreach, click on it, add it. If you click this icon here, we can also click the view list. And I do have a list page. So you can kind of see that.
Chris, there was a suggestion that we show them, if possible, to add companies to the list from the map view.
We do not have a mechanism to do it from the map view. We can click on companies in here, but this link, and we can write that down and maybe take that back as a future enhancement.
All right.
If I click on that pinpoint and I click on the title, it's just going to open up the company details. But like I just showed, we could come in here once we have it open and say, oh, I want to put it on that list.
So there technically is a way to do that. It's just a couple of extra steps.
Yeah. And it's a balance of simplicity versus having all the features. It's nice to be able to do all those things, but when you put too many features into a small area, then it becomes confusing and you go, well, what am I doing with this thing here? So,
well,
yeah, we can come back to that.
That's still useful. I think
yes.
that doing it that way is still very useful. What do you think, Chuck or Bonita? Bonita's nodding her head yes.
Okay.
I think it is
So-
a useful tool. I think the important thing is, I think you're going to get to this, Chris, is practical applications of it.
Yes.
That's what we want, and that's what I think what we would want to know.
So yeah, so the idea is that it's really just a notepad or a small collection of companies that you're trying to take a much larger list and whittle it down to a smaller list. And then that way, say the case is layoff aversion, is that you could put a list of 30 some companies together and go, okay, these are the companies that are in an area that I need to look into. And then they're in this industry, and then they may meet these criteria that I'm looking at to do outreach to see if they would take on workers that have been dislocated, or if they're hiring or whatnot. So it's a great way to kind of like coalesce those things together and then take it offline. I will note, so because this is proprietary information, we can't just download the whole database, that the download is limited to 100 companies. But if you create your list and kind of whittle it down, then it makes it easy and manageable to pull that down. So if I come here, list, and I'll go back to that manufacturing test, I think there was only 6 companies. Click download. It always takes the longest when you're doing the demo. But this download will pop up here in a second. But then anyway, then I could take that list offline, and I've exported as much detail as I could export on that. And I think I've got phone numbers and website information on there. And so you could contact those companies. So that was one example. Oh, here we go.
So Chuck, does that kind of help you with that layoff aversion piece? Finding area companies that do the same sort of thing?
Yeah, I could see an application for that. So that would be, yeah, that could be one thing that we would use it for. Yeah.
Do you have any other scenarios where you think we could explain this to help you guys use it more regularly?
Well, I don't know if I'm a good sample because, the list of companies we work with isn't quite as long as other areas.
Okay.
Because generally, we have a pretty good feel about what's going on in our area, but we don't have a large number of businesses like a larger LWEO would have.
Okay.
So but I could see where if you had to serve, quite a large area, certainly this would be, useful.
Break it down by industry, make your custom lists by industry.
Mhm.
Bonita, do you see an application for that?
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is sometimes it's hard to get out and find companies on foot, or just calling and stuff. This would help me, like when I need to market apprenticeships and OJTs and paid work experience, or just offer our services for recruitment and stuff. I can see where this would help greatly.
Well, and this could help you get in the door for companies that have a no solicitor policy as well. You could make the advanced phone call to schedule an appointment, and that could help you as well.
I thought of something else, D, too. This might be a good tool to use to help identify businesses that may qualify for certain kinds of grants. Because as different things come in, a lot of companies will come to us and say, hey, do you know of any money that's available or something? A tool like this could help us identify businesses to target and say, hey, I don't know if you guys are aware that this is out there, but it may help with communication to let businesses know about opportunities that are available.
So Chris, I think the column on the side where it shows the company health,
Mhm.
I think that might be a good spot to help explain to people that are viewing this on the recording, how can they use that column to help offer those training or the program opportunities that Chuck just explained?
Okay, I can do that. And then the other kind of feature I was gonna kind of pull together was that radius feature.
Oh, sure, sure, sure.
That we put together in this fall.
Yes.
So let's, for instance, a scenario is I am in Sangamon County, and let's say we're looking for information technology companies that are looking for new programmers or something. There's a couple different ways we can do that. We could search for just Springfield, which is great. We could search for, hey, Sangamon County. But another mechanism that we have, I'm going to show the map view here. Another mechanism we have, let's say we want to look on the east side of Springfield. So up over here, we have a thing called radius. And I gotta zoom out a little bit, and you'll see this circle right here. I can drag this circle up over here. And then I can change the size here. And so now my search is just going to be what's in this circle area. I did put some geo information on here if anyone is interested in those kind of those numbers, but we're searching in like a 4.5 mile radius, and you can kind of position like, okay, maybe let's just say right there, that's our center location. And now you can see our companies here. And then let's come back to list view. So now we've kind of got an idea. We're looking at almost, we haven't filtered NAICS industry yet. So let me filter that to information. Okay, still got quite a bit. We got 92 companies. We can go to list view. And then on the right here, so company health. Up top, we're going to see retention or growth. And this is kind of like the metric of either it's our, we call it our Illinois opportunity score. Either the company is in a retention status where like, hey, they're doing okay, or they're maybe not even doing great. And then we have growth. They're doing fantastic. You can see with this one, they've got a low financial stress score, and then their material change score is a growth. They're growing. So maybe now to filter our list even more, we can say, I am looking for growth opportunities here. So I'm going to select multiple filters over here. We'll even put stable on there. And then we'll change our financial stress score to low. Let's see what we get here. So we're looking for companies that are doing really well because we want to offer an opportunity for further expansion, and we're just going to kind of filter that off there. And then this is where it's like, okay, I've got a list of 29. I want to create a new list here. Save that. Oops. Okay, and oops, I meant to add that. So in combination of that, this way we can easily just add these to the list. And we can put our list together and then take that offline. And maybe now that we've done Springfield, then the next thing is we're going to go over to Decatur. In Decatur, we want to do the kind of northeast side again and do the same type of thing that we were doing before. And so come back to list view. And so we can easily just add these companies to that list. And then once we're done, let's just say we want to see the list itself. I'll click reset. Reset will reset all my filter options over here, and then I can come back to lists. And then I'm going to go to my information growth opportunities. And so I've got a list of 13 companies on there. You can see I got my companies here in Springfield and companies over here in the Decatur area. So just another example of like, I need to put these together, but maybe my criteria is changing, or I need to kind of overlap and say, hey, we're doing these metro areas and it's this one and this one, and this is kind of another mechanism how we could put that together.
So would you guys be doing growth organizations, or would you be doing companies that might be in retention to offer them those programs?
I was thinking more on retention or maybe even the work share information. Just also finding out, trying to get companies to be proactive and think about the work share, so they don't end up actually laying off individuals. It'd be nice to be able to educate the employers in the area about that. You can get them before they get to that point,
Right.
But also retention, because the apprenticeships and OJTs and paid work experiences could help them keep some of the employees they already have, the incumbent worker training, all that kind of stuff. So I can see it used for both.
Okay, and then if we wanted to go on the opposite side of the spectrum, we could obviously start searching for high financial stress scores and start to look for those companies that are struggling. And I think something that might be a help in the future, and it's a feature that's shown on test right now, but is not available in production because I'm still in development, is we've talked about, I haven't talked with you guys, but we've talked about underserved areas. I'm working on pulling that information together to kind of hold that all together. So that may help if you have, especially if grants say, hey, you need to reach out to companies in underserved areas. And I'm not ready to demo that today, but another filter of being able to get your companies where you think they're at.
I think that number of employees feature helps a lot too, because I know for incumbent worker training, we can kind of target companies that are under a certain threshold, just to kind of let them know, hey, you guys might, you guys don't have to meet half the costs like a larger company would an incumbent worker. Maybe you only have to meet 10%. So having that employee number filter helps us, I think, target maybe marketing incumbent worker training to companies too.
And the only thing I will mention on that is Dun & Bradstreet is the one that pulls this information together.
Right.
But this is not an IDES metric, so it's as
So
good
we have to,
as we know.
So we have to verify, obviously, that but at least it's a good marketing tool.
Yeah, it's
say,
it's a good marker to
These are places we
understand.
should be targeting to.
Yeah, it's a good marker to understand, like, oh, this is a smaller company versus like, oh, they had 1,000 employees versus.
Right.
So, no, it's terrific to have. You can't find this information without doing hours and hours of searching on Google and everything. So this is a terrific tool that's in this data set. So. Okay, any other scenarios or anything you would like to walk through on the list? Like I said, the list is really just for the individual user. Eventually, we would like to make it as a project base where you can have collaboration with multiple Iebs users at the same time. We see the value in that, but as of right now, we're not ready for that. Okay, D.
I was just checking in-demand fields. Is there a way to check in-demand fields?
Well, if you can tell me by NAICS industry, I know as of right now, I don't have a way to filter to that. I know we display on Illinois WorkNet in-demand jobs. And
Yeah, we have that tool on Illinois WorkNet for in-demand or on-demand or in-demand industries or high growth industries. So if they could find those, then they could search by that by NAICS code, right?
So I believe those are listed by SOC code. I always get these codes confused. There are some
Yes, those are
crosswalk
SOC
tables.
codes. They're SOC codes.
Okay, so SOC codes describes the job profile. A NAICS code describes the industry a company is in. So there's not a one-to-one, but there are places online where you can do a crosswalk and say like, hey, I'm looking for this job profile for programmer. Oh, okay, that's would relate to information technology and NAICS world or something, or because you have some overlapping stuff with that.
So does ONET Online, somebody that's on the call, does ONET Online offer you the crosswalk? For the NAICS? Okay, Bonita's nodding her head. Okay.
I use ONET a lot, and yeah, they have the crosswalk.
Okay.
And so you could get those NAICS codes and just start typing them in here. 55 is not 131. I've broken the system now. This was just working a second ago. Agree. Okay, hang on. So there's two different modes. NAICS Industries is just the 2-digit code, and some of these are combinations like manufacturing. And then we should be able to come in here. There we go. Now it's working. So 55. So we can start with just like the 4-digit code, which is broader, and that gives us a better search. And so again, and then let's say we want to add iron workers in here too. So you could easily build that, and then, hey, for some reason I need a crosswalk of management companies and iron and steel mills. We can create a list together of that information and take that offline or online.
Cool.
Okay.
Excellent. Any other questions? Martha, Bonita, Chuck, questions? Well, thanks for checking with us. This will be our last TA session of 2022. We plan to put out our schedule for the first quarter of the year after this Friday. And we look forward to offering you information on the topics that you need. So if you think of something, send me an email. Let me know what we can help you with.
Thank you so much. This is really good. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Dee.
You're
Very
welcome.
helpful.
Have a great rest of your day, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording now.